Hey, welcome to the Well Gut Project. My name is Carrie. This is all about being vegan on the low FODMAP diet for irritable bowel syndrome. And today I'm going to talk about how you can spot real versus fake sourdough bread. So while wheat and spelt contain lots of oligosaccharides, which are a FODMAP, we don't tolerate them very well, in sourdough bread, because the natural yeasts have lots of time to ferment down those oligosaccharides, it means that sourdough bread, up to 2 slices, is low FODMAP, and it is amazing and delicious, so much nicer than the gluten-free stuff. But unfortunately, there are lots of sourdough style breads which aren't actually true sourdough, because it has to have that long, several hours, maybe 12-hour fermentation of the dough to allow the oligos to be broken down. So I wanted to give you some tips of ways you can spot those sneaky fake sourdough breads. So the very first thing you should notice is whether or not all the loaves look the same. If they're really similar, same kind of shape, size, colour, it's very unlikely it's sourdough. Because of the natural process involved, it's hard to regulate and you end up with more, authentic differences. So if they all look the same, it's a bad sign. Another thing you can quickly notice is the price. It really shouldn't be £1 or £2, it should be more like 3 or 4. It takes a long time to do in the bakery, they have to store it in a warm place, lots of space, lots of time, lots of effort, so it's just not going to be that cheap. The Sainsbury's ones, which are £1.60, not actual sourdough. Then you're going to need to look closely at those ingredients. Now it has to be wheat or spelt for it to be low FODMAP, so sourdough rye bread unfortunately isn't. If there is any mention of yeast or baker's yeast or wild yeast, that's not low FODMAP, that's not sourdough. They've used some very quick acting yeast there, which will mean the dough will rise in like 2 hours and those oligos are still intact. It will have to say somewhere either starter culture, starter, sourdough starter, mother culture. That means that's the actual sourdough yeast that are slow acting, and it means that, yeah, it's sourdough. If it has yeast and sourdough starter, then it's not low FODMAP, because it means they'll have a starter dough to give the flavour, but the majority of the bread is going to be risen with the fast acting yeast and contain the oligos. And then another really sneaky thing is if you spot vinegar in there, because sometimes they put vinegar in to give it the sour flavour to make it seem like sourdough. Like they've literally made some bread sour. That's so mean. That's not sourdough bread. Stop calling it sourdough bread. That's vinegar bread. So that's how you can tell. Obviously you can always ask as well, and if they can't explain, maybe don't risk it. But generally speaking, it's going to be artisan bakeries where you get the good stuff, and if I'm not baking my own, then I'll buy loads of the bread and slice it up and keep it in the freezer, and it works well. So I hope you found that useful. I make a video every Sunday about being low FODMAP and vegan, so subscribe if you want some more. I will see you next Sunday. Bye!